Okay, we have a near and far cradle. Here is a near cradle. I have the near leg tied up over the head, near leg, locking my hands. Okay, near leg. Far leg, I stay right where I'm at. I reach over. I'm taking his far leg and head and locking my hands. So that's a near and far. I have a bottom leg cradle. I reach under and I grab the leg here, and when I drive him down, he's on his side. I have a cradle, but I'm using his bottom leg. Not his near leg, not his far leg, but the bottom leg. Bottom on top of bottom leg cradle. And then take him on over. Okay? That's a bottom leg cradle. Then I have a far side bottom leg cradle. If I would have, say, a Navy ride, and I'm picking him up here, and I turn it into a cradle. I'm using the far bottom leg to turn it into a cradle. So I have near bottom leg, far bottom leg, near side cradle, far side cradle. I have what I call a clamp cradle. That'll be a whole series. You'll really like that. This is really, really good for the young kids. And yeah, you can do it at college and high school level, but it's really good for the youth group as a whole series. A clamp cradle is where you ride them, like when you're riding a horse, you learn to use the muscles on each side of your thigh to ride, hang onto a guy. You do the very same thing here. You clamp onto his near thigh. Clamp and ride here. So when they step up over here, you go into a far cradle, or if he comes up to a near leg, you come over to a near cradle. But we're going to work on clamp cradles, where we start by clamping. We're putting his leg in a cast. It's broken, as an example. And I'm going to pinch his leg together, his thigh with my leg. I'm clamping them together. Clamp cradles. Then we have a crossface cradle. Crossface cradles are typically far cradles that are used with a crossface involvement. Hands over, little finger on the elbow, on a crossface. I drive into him, steps up. I come over. I lock on my own wrist. A different lock. We'll talk about grips in just a second. Here's a far cradle, or a crossface cradle. Okay, and then we have what is called an underleg cradle. These are sophisticated cradles. They're sophisticated because most people haven't seen them, they look like they're off the wall, but they're around a lot. Let's say, as an example, he hits it on a low single. Boom. He hits it on a low single. From here, if I would highlight back over, like you were going to do a freestyle lift, and I just drop down. So he still has my ankle. He's under my leg here. I reach underneath my leg, an underleg cradle, and lock my hands. It's really a near cradle, but I'm doing it underneath my leg. They're underleg cradles. You're seeing more and more of these low singles being shot each day. Or if I rode legs here, and he dropped down the side here, and he gets there and he starts ducking under my leg. You'll see that. They'll start ducking under here and coming up on you. And once he ducks under there, you're reaching under the leg and lock your hands. Underleg cradles. Okay, and then we have near and far bicep cradles. This is when, on both the near and far cradle, when a guy, you start draping your hand over and they go, oh! And they reach up and they get a hold of your hand. And they're saying, if I got your hand, you can't get your hands locked in a cradle. So they think they're protected. So how do they go about grabbing your hand? They see the hand draping over your head, and they do this. They ball up, and they get a hold of the hand. So if I'm riding here, and I start reaching here, and he reaches in with both hands, and he grabs a hold of my hand, he's bringing his elbows in. So as he brings his elbows in, I reach down, and I lock onto his bicep. Okay? I don't lock my hands, but my hand is now locked onto his bicep, and that bicep is attached to his forearm, which is attached to his hand, and that hand is attached to my hand. So indirectly, I have my hands locked in a cradle. It's called a bicep cradle, near side, far side. So I'm here, he reaches his fingers here, I reach down, and I lock on his bicep. It is just as good a cradle, this one right here, okay, as any other cradle there is. You don't have to have your hands locked, just grab his bicep, and you have the same thing. Far side, same principle applies. Okay, I'm driving into him, he steps up, and I start reaching here, and look what he did. He grabbed my hands, my fingers, so I can't get my hands locked, but he pulls his arms in order to get them. Okay, fine. Then I lock on the bicep. So he has my hand, I have his bicep, I still have a cradle. As long as he hangs onto my hand, I got a cradle. Even if he lets go, but I don't care. I still have a cradle here. So I'm holding on to his bicep. So we have near, far, bottom leg, crossface cradle, underleg cradle, crossface cradle, and the near, far bicep cradle. And that's pretty much the different types of cradles we're going to go over here in the next couple hours. And now I want to go into the different grips we use and then we're going to get into the myriad of cradles. Then we're going to get into dessert. We're going to get into meat and potatoes to have fun with stuff. So remember these basics. These basics, I'm going to go back and refer to them as we go along in these other cradles. You can go, oh, I see how this works. Oh, I see why that was important. Earlier he talked about that. Don't forget the basics. These are the building blocks. You're going to put a skyscraper up. No solid foundation. Skyscraper falls over. Pinning doesn't work without the basics. You have the pushing into the guy, the clock, the hands, and how you ride, how do you knock them down. So there you are. We're coming back with cradle grips in just a minute.